Guitar Hero is one of my personal favorite games. And if you don't believe me, let me show you all of the Guitar Hero stuff I have. So it's very clear that there are a lot of Guitar Hero games. I'm not going to spend an hour talking about every single one that I have. So today, we're just going to be talking about the one that started it all. Released on November 8th, 2005, Guitar Hero was one of the first guitar-based rhythm games. It was developed by two companies, Red Octane, who made the controllers, and Harmonix, who developed the game. The cheapest part about getting into Guitar Hero is the guitar itself.
Why are you so expensive?
If you can't afford to buy one of these very expensive guitar-shaped pieces of plastic, the other way to play Guitar Hero is using your regular controller, though I would not recommend it because it is very uncomfortable. Though I am sure that with enough practice on this thing, you might be able to master it. Being the first game in the series, Guitar Hero 1 has a few issues. One of the major issues is that this game has no calibration system. Put it simply, you might be hitting notes earlier or later than they actually appear on screen. If you listen closely, you will actually hear me strumming a bit earlier than when the notes hit the hitbox. The other major issue is that you have to strum every note. This makes Guitar Hero 1 one of the hardest games in the series. So if you're up for the challenge, this game might be the perfect Guitar Hero for you. Putting aside these flaws, Guitar Hero 1 is still a very fun game. With a very catchy song list, 6 tiers of difficulty, and even a few bonus songs, Guitar Hero 1 is a good introduction to the series. In conclusion, I will give Guitar Hero 1 a 7.5 out of 10. I also have a whole bunch of other games, and it's up to you, the community, to choose which one I review next. Check your emails for that. Well, that does it for this week's segment. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Peace.
Mobius 1, you are cleared for takeoff.
If you've ever seen the movie Top Gun, the game Ace Combat 4 is basically the same thing. Besides that, it's the first game with an actual story that we're reviewing on this series.
Released on November 1st, 2001 in the US, Ace Combat 4 is, well, the fourth installment to the Ace Combat series. It was the first Ace Combat game released on PlayStation 2.
And it definitely wasn't the last, with Ace Combat 5 releasing 3 years later in 2004.
As previously mentioned, this game has a story. You play as, I kid you not, Mobius 1.
Your call sign is Mobius 1. We'll refer to you by this name at all times.
Get used to that name very fast, because you will hear it all the time.
Mobius 1. 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 Mobius 1 crashed.
The side we are on is the Independent State Allied Forces, or ISAF for short. At the start of the game, ISAF has reached its darkest hour, being pushed off the mainland by the Erusian superweapon Stonehenge. No, not that Stonehenge. This Stonehenge. It is up to you and your fellow pilots to prevent the utter destruction of ISAF, and fight your way all the way to the enemy's capital. Overall, it's a pretty simple plot, being spread out over the game's 18 missions, some of which are an absolute blast to play, while others, well, not so much. It's also got a pretty great soundtrack.
Ace Combat 4 is one of the only games on my PS2 that I've actually played through multiple times, and there's a pretty good reason for that.
There is a wide variety of planes you can use with different playstyles. like planes specifically designed for taking out ground targets. There's also a wide variety of different missions across the game as well. Mission number 11, titled Escort, has you guide 2 commercial airliners full of passengers out of enemy airspace, while destroying the enemy fighters trying to shoot them down. This is completely unlike my personal favorite mission, Operation Bunker Shot, which is more of a ground assault type mission. This mission has you assist the ground forces as they assault beaches, spending most of your time and energy focusing on pillboxes and tanks.
There are a lot of great things about Ace Combat 4, like the story, the gameplay, even some of the planes they included. But it does have some flaws. As I said earlier, they say Mobius won a ridiculous amount of times. And that can lead to some of the corniest lines you might ever hear in a video game. Your fellow pilots, and especially the people on the ground, treat you like you're the only plane ever to exist. And if you don't believe me, here are a few examples.
Mobius 1's here. Go the win. Mobius 1's short range opening for us. Mobius 1's above us. See him there. Don't even try. Leave him to Mobius 1.
In conclusion, Ace Combat 4 is a great game, but it does have a few flaws, which is why I am giving it an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of the show. Peace. Besides video games, I have a huge passion of racing. I got a whole wall of NASCAR cars. I even have a NASCAR calendar. I love racing so much that the first game I got for my PS2 was this one, NASCAR 2005 Chase to the Cup. Many people say that this game is the best NASCAR game ever made.
Released on August 31st, 2004, NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup was EA's 8th installment in its NASCAR series. Developed by who else but EA Sports, this game was one of the first to feature some of the lower levels of NASCAR racing, like trucks and modifieds.
Did I mention that this game has a paint booth? Time to put all that time in art class to the test.
And it's done.
You know, it's good, but I feel something's missing. Now that's more like it. Though messing around with the paint booth is very fun, people mostly play this game for the career mode.
Every choice you make has some weight to it. This is most prevalent in the hero/villain meter.
If you choose to race clean, people will actually start to like you. But if you don't, you get punched in the face.
There is also challenge mode, which definitely lives up to the name.
Before you tell me how easy that looked, just a reminder, I'm using this.
In NASCAR 2005, you can play as a whole bunch of real NASCAR Cup drivers. And I'm just now realizing that most of these people have actually retired.
NASCAR 2005 Chase to the Cup doesn't just have real NASCAR drivers and tracks. It also has some fantasy tracks. Like, I could you not, Old Spice Speedway. There's also some tracks that aren't actually operational anymore, like the Nazareth Speedway. If this video actually made you kind of interested in racing, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship is actually this weekend at Phoenix. Overall, NASCAR 2005 Chase to the Cup is a very good racing game. If you like racing, you will love this game. And that's why I am giving it a 9 out of 10. Besides that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show. Peace.
This is Snake. Kept you waiting, huh?
Metal Gear Solid is one of those game franchises that is so big that you can't go your whole life without knowing about it. And if you think you don't know about Metal Gear Solid, yes you do.
No one hears a word they say. Has the memory gone? Are you feeling numb? Not a word they say.
Released on November 13th, 2001, or yesterday 25 years ago, Metal Gear Solid 2 was the first Metal Gear Solid released on PlayStation 2. Developed by Konami and directed by Hideo Kojima, Metal Gear Solid 2 was one of the most anticipated games of its time.
The game is split up into two main parts.
You play as Solid Snake, who has been dropped off on a cargo ship in order to find evidence of a new kind of Metal Gear. Wait, wrong photo. Just after Snake lands, Russian soldiers take control of the cargo vessel, who Snake also has to avoid along with the ship's crew. You also play as Raiden, a rookie whose first mission is to save the president from terrorists.
Considering how complex the plot actually is, this is probably as simple as I could make it. And the story being very complex is probably one of the only issues I actually have with Metal Gear Solid 2, as you might have to play through it multiple times or play the previous games to have a slight clue as to what's going on.
If you've never played Metal Gear Solid, please tell me if this makes any sense to you.
You know how the technical specs of Metal Gear were sold on the black market after Shadow Moses?
All Ocelot's doing.
Exactly. And now every state, group, and .com has its own version of Metal Gear.
The dialogue you just heard takes place in the first 5 minutes of the game. But don't let the very confusing story distract from how fun Metal Gear Solid 2 is.
With pretty challenging boss fights, clever ways of staying hidden, and some of the most fun gameplay mechanics I haven't seen in many other games. I'd say the stealth in this game is very solid, being the best out of all the stealth games I've played so far. Though if you wanted to, you could just go guns blazing, though the game is way harder this way. Another great thing about Metal Gear Solid 2 are the characters, each with their own motives for being on or around the tanker. Most of the characters are pretty likable, while others, well, not so much.
Now thinking about it, I enjoy Metal Gear Solid 2 a lot more on my second playthrough than on my first. And I think that's just because I knew a lot more about what was going on.
Although the story is very confusing, it's actually really interesting once you understand what's going on.
In conclusion, Metal Gear Solid 2 is a great game. Although the story is really confusing, the gameplay makes up for it, which is why I'm giving it a very solid 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the show. Peace.
Kickoff, Fox 3. Can you hear? Over.
I've never really known much about the Second World War, but I somehow managed to collect a whole bunch of these random World War II themed shooter games. I think I got most of them in like video game lots or like for really cheap at game stores. And the game Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30 is just one of those games I just happen to have.
Released on March 1st, 2005, Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30 is to my knowledge the first Brothers in Arms game. It was developed by Ubisoft and Gearbox Software. You play as Sergeant Matt Baker, who has been given the task of leading 13 soldiers through the first few days of the invasion of France. This is quite literally one of the simplest stories we've reviewed on this series, being just as simple as a game like Ace Combat 4. This game stands out from the rest because it allows you to control where your allies move.
This would be great if your allies weren't the dumbest people on the planet.
It's almost like these people are trying to get themselves killed. Every once in a while, you might see one or two of your guys go down. No matter how well you try and plan, they will always find a way to die. Sometimes they won't even think twice and just run straight into danger, leaving you to do hard parts of the missions all on your own.
While on the topic of your fellow soldiers, we rarely get to know them.
I'd say we hear from this guy named Leggett the most, and he's not even with your fellow soldiers for 90% of the game. Besides that, most of the other soldiers are really just the same, to the point where I can't tell one from the other without somebody else saying their name. This game also has some pretty bad performance issues. The loading screens take a while, and the game freezes whenever you reach a checkpoint. And sometimes, the game will just kill you.
Despite all these issues, I do appreciate that they took the time to actually research what they were talking about.
Believe it or not, the game actually follows an actual set of people, which is something not many other games actually decide to do.
In conclusion, Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30 has a lot of issues, which is why I am giving it a 5 out of 10. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the show. Peace. This is Tecmo World Wrestling, the first non-PlayStation 2 game we're doing on this series. Now thinking about it, this kind of game is what your teachers might consider retro.
Released on September 1st, 1989, this game was one of the many sports-related games produced by Tecmo, who also made, believe it or not, Tecmo Bowl.
Everywhere you go, football!
Tecmo World Wrestling stands out from other wrestling games produced around this time because they actually put most of the money into making the game, instead of paying for the licenses of famous wrestlers like other games did. Because of this, all of the wrestlers in this game are not real.
In my personal opinion, this game doesn't really feel like a fighting game, more of like a button mashing game.
Every game mode in this game has you pretty much pressing A and B all the time. Especially the fights, where you can only punch, kick, jump on, or suplex your opponent.
This game is also very cruel in the sense that it's literally calling me a loser in big text. Right there. How do you feel? You're a loser. You lose.
Each wrestler also has their own special move, which they definitely don't use 50 times in one match, and definitely not leading to a very one-sided fight.
This game also has 2-player, for all of you who have friends.
Also, if you expected the game to look like it did on the box cover, you'd be wrong. Just look at Mega Man.
In conclusion, Tecmo World Wrestling is a pretty fun game with friends, but on its own, it's pretty underwhelming, which is why I am giving it a 5 out of 10. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the show. Peace.